Welcome to Films from the Phantom Zone, podcast about failed comic book movies. I'm your host, Arnaldo, and with me as always,
Berto.
So let's just go over the rules of the podcast. Rule number 1, this must be a comic book superhero movie. Rule number 2, it must be a failed franchise. So the way we define it is that if it's failed, it means it went out of business, so they were not able to make more of them, although they may have wanted to, right? Rule number 3, if the film franchise ends on its own terms, as in they wanted to make X amount of movies and they succeeded in that, then that's not failed. They set out to do what they wanted to do. Like the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. We did it. We got there. So, Berto, what movie are we watching today?
Wonder Woman, 1974.
Yes, Wonder Woman from 1974, which is called Wonder Woman. This is a movie, by the way, I didn't know existed until well after we started doing this podcast, by the way.
Yeah, this is not the Lynda Carter Wonder Woman that you might be thinking of.
Right, we're doing an old movie, and so you might be thinking, oh, Lynda Carter, like, everybody knows that. No. This came before that. So, this is a TV movie, which you might say, but wait, that's not a movie. That breaks rule number 1. No, it does not. It was made for television, but it's a movie.
Film. I wouldn't say it's feature length, but...
It's 75 minutes. It's an easy watch.
It's about as long as a Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah, that's kind of the same concept as, they made movies for TV, right?
Right.
And so this is a TV pilot. And we talked about this on our movie list episode, and that's kind of when I learned this was a thing, because I knew all about Lynda Carter and her show. I did not know about this. I just read about it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is something I didn't know existed. And honestly, I was probably more excited for this movie than I was a lot of things that we've already done, because Ghost Rider, LXG, those are movies I'd seen before, and I didn't really like, and I'm like, great. We have to go revisit these things that aren't very good. This is something I had no idea existed.
It's a completely new experience.
Yeah. And that's kind of the reason we're doing this, right? Because it feels like this was already in the Phantom Zone. And
it kind of was.
Yeah. And we get to just sit with it for a minute and then
we get
probably
to judge
throw it
it
back. Yeah, exactly. Do you want to explain real quick the concept of a TV pilot?
Yeah, it's basically like a pitch to the network to try and get the network to pick up that show and, to fund it, start airing it, all of that stuff.
Making more, yeah. So a TV pilot is just the first episode.
Yeah.
So if you go back to any show that you like and you watch the first episode, it might feel different than the rest of the show. And it's because when they made it, they were only told to make one episode. They'll air that episode sometimes and then decide if it's popular. And if they like it, then they can make more of them. So for every TV show, there's twice as many pilots that just didn't get picked up.
And a lot of pilots will feel a little different than the show that comes out of it, too, because the pilot is being made for the executives. It's not being made for, a general audience, too.
Yes. So there are times where they will remake the pilot for TV, for audiences.
Yeah.
Because the first one was maybe low budget. It was, made in the back of a house or whatever.
It's like a proof of concept, and they're basically, checking off boxes.
Yes, proof of concept. That's exactly what it is. But other times, they'll give it enough money where it could potentially spawn a whole TV show.
Yeah.
One of my favorite TV shows, New Girl, in the pilot, they had to recast Damon Wayans Jr. because he did the pilot, but he wasn't available to do the rest of the show. And so they recasted him, and then later on, they brought him back.
And I thank God they made it a different character, too, because that would have been really weird.
Yeah, right. So initial thoughts, like we were saying, I was very excited to see this because I had never seen it. I didn't know it existed, and we popped it on the other day. Honestly, I was more excited to see it than I was for most of the movies we've seen.
I was kind of indifferent about it. I was like, oh, it's an old Wonder Woman pilot. It didn't get picked up, so it's probably not that good.
Do you like old stuff? Because a lot of people just don't and will never give old stuff a shot.
I'll always give it a shot. Obviously, some of it holds up better than others.
Yeah.
Because some things age well, some things don't.
Berto and I are both nocturnal people. Berto barely sleeps, and I am getting better at going to sleep at a reasonable time because I am turning more and more into an adult. But as a kid, I stayed up late every night, as a little kid.
Okay.
And I watched a lot of Nick at Night. Did you ever watch Nick at Night?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I've always had an affinity for old stuff because in the 90s, Nick at Night wasn't playing, because I feel like nowadays they play kind of stuff that's not that old.
Well, we might not feel it's that old.
Yeah, maybe we're just old. But in the 90s, they played shows from the 50s.
Oh, they did
and 60s.
I remember watching The Brady Bunch
as
a kid.
Yeah, and that's from this era, it's from the mid-70s. I watched a ton of Brady Bunch. I watched a ton of I Love Lucy.
I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. All of
The
those
Munsters.
shows. Yeah, Munsters. Anyway, my point is, I am fine with watching old stuff. I kind of like it because I think it's very naive to think that anything old is going to be bad or dumb. Like, people weren't any dumber, 50 years ago than they are today. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
some of the stuff you'll watch, and there's like really old things you'll watch and be like, "That's really like clever,"
yeah. Again,
or "That's really funny."
This is 3 years before Star Wars came out. Like, and you would never say that about Star Wars.
No, I love Star Wars, and I love the old Star Wars.
Yeah. So, but TV was definitely completely different back then.
Yeah.
And as someone who watched an extensive amount of Nick at Night and TV Land, this kind of felt a little like the Brady Bunch, but we'll get to that. By the way, this movie is available on Amazon for rent. I was really afraid that we weren't going to be able to find this, but it was it was remarkably easy. There'll be a link in the description, so if you want to check it out and watch along with us, honestly, I'm not going to recommend it. You spend your money how you want to spend it, but if you want to have an okay-ish time watching an old thing, that's why I asked you.
Yeah.
You have to be into that kind of thing. If we showed this to our friend Max,
he'd hate it.
He'd turn it off. He'd walk away in 2 seconds.
He would hate it.
Like, he hates old things. But if you're into this kind of thing, you like old James Bond movies, you like just kind of like going back in time way before you were born, maybe, or maybe you're older and this was your childhood.
Or maybe it's like something that's a little campy.
Check it out. Yeah, no, absolutely check it out. I had a lot of fun with this. Whether it's good or bad, we'll talk about later, but at least I had fun. So let's get into the plot. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Do you remember how this movie starts?
I remember that it started like immediately. Like there was no like easing into anything. It just started in the middle of a scene, it seemed like.
Yeah, and by the way, we didn't say it up top. This is not a superhero movie at all.
Oh, no, it's like
This is a spy movie.
It's like a campy spy thriller.
Yeah, and we'll get to our theories on why they chose to take Wonder Woman in this direction, but this is not at all superhero. So it starts off with like a heist, right? I just remember there was we watched this way too long ago. It was like a week and a half ago. This was irresponsible on our part. It started with like a piano, I want to say, and then someone opens like a secret compartment of the piano.
Yeah.
And then takes out a couple books.
And the books say most secret book.
Yeah,
most. It was weird.
Most secret, yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom, the text will say like Rio de Janeiro. And then they would cut to Paris. And they're doing the same thing. They're opening a random mailbox and they take out 2 books. And they cut to Berlin and then they take out 2 books. Istanbul, London. And then there's like a ticking going on. That got kind of annoying, honestly.
Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to be like you're in a spy thing. I think.
Yeah,
right.
I just remember thinking like, can this stop?
Me too. Also, it wasn't clear at all that this was a heist, that people were stealing these books.
Yeah, they were just kind of like picking them up.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just taking them out of a safe or a box and holding them.
But I guess what that scene was like conveying is like all around the world, these most secret books are being stolen.
Then it cuts to a man who's chewing gum very awkwardly.
Imagine somebody like just unwrapping a stick of gum and trying to like seductively put it in their mouth, but they kind of like mess up and it like bends a little on their lips before they get in their mouth. That's what that was.
Do you remember the Big Red and the Juicy Fruit commercials where they would put the stick of gum on their bottom teeth and then fold it in half in order to chew it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
This is a very clear memory of mine from my childhood. That's how I was convinced is the only way you could chew that gum from watching those commercials.
Like you had to fold it?
No, you have to put it on your bottom teeth and that anchors it and then the whole thing folds inside your mouth. I'll show it to you after we're done. Anyway, so that's not the way he chewed the gum, by the way. He is kind of wrangling all of the thieves that stole all the books.
Yeah.
Right? He gets all the books into like one big set and then he and his henchmen kill these guys.
Yeah.
Right. So
these like twin looking people.
Yes, these twins walk in and they're wearing the same outfit. They look like identical twins until one of them speaks and you realize that she's a woman. And then the other one is... So are they brother and sister? Are they twins? It's not clear at all.
Do they even have names?
Why'd you ask me that? I don't know. I honestly do not know. So he's just not a good bad guy, right? Because he has no honor is the point. Because they made a deal with all these thieves to steal these books and then he immediately kills them.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
So then I think we cut to Themyscira?
You've got more on the plot than I do.
Oh, usually you're the one doing this.
Yeah.
Cuts at Themyscira, but not before there's a voiceover. It's our heroine, and she's saying, it was perhaps inevitable that the man-made world would require a unique woman, a Wonder Woman. Exactly, yeah. And then we cut to Themyscira, which is like the home island of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and interestingly, they did keep like her like Amazonian like origin.
Yeah, so I thought that was really weird because going into this, I knew it was a spy movie because I read it on Wikipedia when I looked up what this was. I'm like, oh, it's a spy movie. It's not a superhero movie. So they show her in Themyscira, and her mom is Hippolyta, which is like the leader, the queen of the Amazons.
Right.
The Amazonian women, this is all based on the Greek myth, right? That there's an island of a woman society.
Yeah.
They have evolved past the need for man, right?
And they're like almost like superhuman.
Right. And it's not because they are superhuman, it's just because like they've evolved past needing men, and the conflict of man hasn't like affected them, right? At least that's what I remember from like my Greek mythology class. But so they're all super smart, they're all super disciplined. Kaya, okay, stop creaking the door. So yeah, in Themyscira is clearly a set, right? It's very cheap. This is a very cheap movie, which is fine. It's made for TV.
It's like a set with like a fog machine.
With there's a fog machine, which I thought was egregious, and there was and just a bunch of fake plants everywhere. You're supposed to made to believe this is like in the middle of the woods.
A lot of the shots are like close-ups of their faces.
Right. It's all close-ups, and then there's like a really bad vignette effect that they did, where it's supposed to be like the edges of the frame are blurry, like a dreamlike kind of blur.
Yeah.
But they were so blurry that like it overlapped on their faces a lot of the time.
It just looked like a blurry shot.
It just looks so blurry, like their chins and their foreheads, all of that got blurred out. And she's kind of like our heroine, Wonder Woman. Her name is Princess Diana of Themyscira, right? That's the character's name. And in this, again, props to them, it's Princess Diana also. She's saying goodbye to all her friends and then her mother.
That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, the mom. She is not acting at all. She's just reading a bunch of lines. She was pretty bad. So, cut to her new job. So, I don't know, man. Based on what she said, that it was inevitable that the man-made world would require a unique woman, that she would be doing something like incredibly important.
A Wonder Woman.
Right. I'm so sorry. And instead, she's just like a secretary for a man.
Yeah.
So it cuts to, she's a secretary in this office. She goes into the office, and there's the man in charge, who we find out is Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor is like her boyfriend in most iterations of... Yeah. It's her love interest. He's answering multiple phones at once. So he's got like a phone. He's like, well, if this person's going to be over there, then meet me here. And that deal is off. Then he goes on another line. Then he hangs up that phone. He picks up another phone. Listen, I wasn't alive in the 70s. I don't know if that's what an office was like just a man answering multiple phones at once. But
seems kind of inefficient.
Yeah, but I'm okay. That's fine. She goes in there to tell him that like all the important men have arrived, right? And then sees her way out. Yeah. And all these like important looking men come in, right? Not before one hits on her. Do you remember this guy? Like, yeah, he immediately walks up to her, like, has a flower, and he's like, hey, like, I want to take you out on a date. Don't say anything yet. Just think about it. Does that ever work? Like I just want you to think about it and then come back to me. I feel like I see that in movies all the time, but...
Go out with me if you want.
Yeah. So they go in, and Steve Trevor gives them all like the briefing, right, of what just happened. Yeah. It wasn't until this point that I learned what happened, because again, it wasn't clear that they were stealing those books. But he tells them all of these books have been stolen, and they contain the names of all our covert agents. And that's when you find out this is a spy movie. But
why do they have books just full of covert agent names?
So...
that doesn't seem like a smart thing to do.
Yeah. I think what he was saying is that they are code names and then real names, and you match them up.
That's even worse.
Well, it's so that you can track your people's aliases. Like, I get that. However, in each city, it was both books were kept in the same place. Which is like, why have two books then? Those two books should have been separated, because if one contains the real names, the other contains the aliases, then those should be split
Why
up.
would you have them right next? That defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Mission Impossible, first movie?
No.
Oh my God, you haven't?
The only one I've seen is the most recent one.
Birdo. We need to work on that. Those movies are really good.
I've heard.
Oh, I wish they were loosely based on a comic. Then we could do it. But, oh no, they're ongoing. Anyway, it's the knock list from the first movie. In the first movie, the MacGuffin that they're chasing is called the knock list. It got stolen. And it's half of a list containing all of, like, the aliases of the spies. Spies, yeah. And then the other half of the list contains their real names. And you would have to match the two up to be able to connect them.
Is that a real thing that they do? Because it doesn't seem like a good idea. Just to have that, like...
Yeah, but like when I saw it, I was like, I've seen this before. This is innocuous.
Right. But obviously, it's a bad thing that the bad guys have this.
Yeah. As he's telling all of the important men the predicament that they're in, Wonder Woman, or Diana, her alias is Diana Prince, because she's Princess Diana. So she can hear everything.
She's like eavesdropping on him.
Yeah, and I think... Part of me was like, did she have supersonic hearing, or she tapped in on this meeting in secret, you know? It's not very clear what her job is, because later on, she goes and does all the spy work. And she seems to be like their number one spy. But I don't know if what they're saying is, this is a world where that's not allowed, so she has to pretend to be the secretary?
Maybe.
I didn't get that at all, because...
Like the secretary is her secret identity, and then, like, the spy is her...
Yeah. So there's a lot of things in this movie that I realized... they might have been saving for later, or they were like, this is too hard, we'll figure it out later, because this is supposed to kick off a TV show, right? So what is her relationship with Steve Trevor? I don't know, we'll figure it out later. Like, that's going to be on episode 5 or something like that. And I think this was one of those things where it's like, what is the nature of her job? What is her role here? Is she the best spy, or is she not? Like, is she being compensated for this?
Or does she just decide to go out and do it?
Yeah, because she puts her life in danger multiple times in this. Anyway. So after all the important men leaves, she walks into the office and they start discussing what they're going to do.
But in like weird code, like they're not actually talking about anything.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm going to go to the dentist?
Yes. So he's telling her to go undercover, right? But who are they being secretive from?
It's just them in the room.
It's just them in the room. All the important men left, right?
They're not on the phone or anything.
No. So they walk in and they're very coy about it. They're like laughing, smiling and stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of kind of... Yeah. There's a lot of questions.
And she ends up saying like, I'm going to go to the dentist in Paris.
Right. Which is where she literally goes. So like, where's the code there? You know?
Also, why are you going to Paris to visit a dentist?
Well, anyway, Steve Trevor tells her, like, who this list of suspects are.
Yeah.
And among them is this man who's, like, never been photographed, but he's, like, a big deal. I don't know why.
What was his name again?
We're probably going to call him Ricardo Montalban the whole time. But he plays Abner Smith, which is weird because he's clearly Mexican.
They probably just call him, like, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, it's probably a fake name. Anyway, so she goes to Paris. I think it's because that's where they expect him to be or something.
Yeah, like she went there like on a mission.
Right. So she seems to be like their number one spy. She gets there and the guy from earlier who was chewing the gum and shot all of his like workers.
He has a name. Wait, I know his name. Yes, George.
Sorry. Ruined your moment there.
It's fine.
His name is George. That's all kind of we know about him. But she gets to this hotel and they're expecting her, which kind of doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things in this movie I found that I think they wave away as like, oh, it's a spy movie. So these people are just smart, right?
Yeah, because she checks into the hotel and then the bad guys already know that she's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And that she's there.
Did they call her Wonder Woman?
I don't think they call her that, but they like...
It seems to be like her nickname, because again, she's not a superhero, so It seems to be like 007 James Bond,
like
where
she's
everyone knows
Wonder
her
Woman,
for some reason.
I guess.
Except for the people that work with her. They don't know she's a spy, but all the bad guys seem to know that she is like the Wonder Woman, the super spy, or whatever. Because she gets to the hotel and she's immediately attacked in the elevator, right?
By the worst killer ever.
he jumps in through like the
top of the elevator and she just throws him out of the elevator immediately.
Oh yeah, like the door opens, she throws him out, door closes, that's it. So she goes, checks into her room, and then she meets up with George at dinner, right?
Because he called her room or something, and he's like, I was expecting you.
That's right.
Come to dinner with me.
That's right. So she sits down at dinner, and everything is like a false pretense because they're spies, right? He knows who she is, and she knows who he is, but they have to pretend like they don't know.
For some reason.
Because, if they're so smart, they should know that the other person knows who they are, right? Like, even James Bond will be like, cut the shit.
Yeah.
So they're having, like, pleasant conversation, and this guy's a total dick.
He's, like, trying to put it in her.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like, no joke, the third thing he says to her is, like, you must come to my yacht tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whatever. Then they talk a little bit more, and then he goes...
Will you make love to me?
Yeah. He just goes, you must make love to me. You must let me make love to you. Just like that.
And then she's like, no. And he's like, why?
Yeah. Do you not find me attractive? Like, bitch, like,
He's being a creep.
Again, were the 70s like this? Like, I don't know, because I'm 32 or whatever, but you don't just tell someone, hey, I want to fuck you. Let's go fuck. You must do it on my yacht.
You must.
Also, she already said no to the yacht question. So he just doubled down and was like, all right, let's just fuck, you know? And in this movie, everyone's trying to fuck her. Everybody.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. And I'm like, okay, she's being so polite too. She's not, I don't know, like...
She didn't like dump a drink on him and walk away or anything like that.
She's just like...
She's sitting there smiling at him.
I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like her character or this is just not well written. But yeah, she doesn't really do much about all these fucking advances or whatever. Conversation doesn't really go very far. So she goes to the phone booth to call see Trevor and tell him she's located George and maybe Mr. Smith. And at this point, a car comes speeding towards her for a great cliffhanger into a commercial break.
She just kind of stares at it.
She stares at it. Well, again, it's a commercial break. So it has to be like prolonged so they can just like hold it for a while and then come back to it. Honestly, I really like the cutaways. So when there's a commercial break, which we obviously didn't see this with commercials, but when there's a commercial break, they'll cut to like a title card of Wonder Woman and it is so 70s. And there's something about that aesthetic that I really, really like. And so we come back from commercial. The car's about to hit the phone booth. She jumps on top of the car, doesn't she?
I think so. I don't even know if that was the same stunt that we're thinking about.
No, it is.
Okay.
So she jumps on top of the car. The car like is speeding away.
And then there's like an awning that she like grabs onto.
Because they're in Paris. So
and
she jumps,
flips up.
She jumps on the awning, flips up, and it ends up on the top of the awning.
It was a pretty impressive stunt, actually.
It was a great stunt. It wasn't one of those things where it's all done in cuts, so you have to assume that she did that stunt.
No, they
showed the whole thing.
Yeah.
They got like a gymnast or someone to do it. And it was, honestly, I'm like, for what I was expecting, that's awesome.
That might be the best part of the movie, though, honestly.
Yeah, it was awesome. I wrote down that was my favorite part of the whole movie. It was at least like
a single
the best
stunt,
part.
The best part of the movie.
So she ends up going to this party that I think maybe she was invited to by the bad guy, by George.
I'm assuming she was invited there.
Oh, I remember the only line when she's at the dinner table is that she tells George the exact wine that's her favorite wine.
Oh.
And she's like, it has to be this wine. And so she gets to the party. It's at like a house. She walks in through the front gate of the house. There's nobody there, by the way.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's just a table with like a ice bucket and a chilled bottle of wine. And it's her wine. She pours it out to drink or whatever. There's, again, nobody there. So I don't know why you would do this. But she smells the wine and then realizes that it's been poisoned. So she
Did they think
it
she
out.
was going to fall for this?
Yeah. Also, you gave her the exact one she specified for, and it's clearly like she's been trained to recognize this wine so well that she could be able to tell if there's any imperfection in it, like any poison, any additive
like
at all.
Something's off about it.
There are some smart things that they try to put in this movie, like smart spy stuff that just kind of doesn't work because of the context.
They didn't execute them well.
Yeah, like if she was at like a high stakes kind of conversation and then there's this wine and she smells it and she knows it's poison and she gives it to somebody else, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But they take this kind of concept and they do it for nothing. Like that was not
also like if she was like in
an
actual party environment where like it'd be weird if she didn't drink the wine or something.
Right. She's literally in a driveway by herself with a glass of wine. She's like, "This is poison. I'm not going to drink it." Cool. Like what?
I wouldn't drink a random ass bottle of wine.
I might have not even looked at it. I might have just kept walking. Like it's not. This is not a good way to kill somebody. Just shoot her. No one's tried shooting her yet, by the way. So she gets to like the back of the house, which I guess she was never supposed to make it to, and it's just like a phonograph, like a record player playing like sounds of people.
It sounds like people are partying around a pool.
But there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And it was a whole stunt to like kill her or whatever. Also, just shoot her there. Why isn't there someone just ready to shoot her there if you want to kill her? You know what I mean?
Why is there nobody at this house at all?
Yeah, so she just like walks away then, and she's like, okay, there's nobody here. Walks away, but the gate's been closed. So she's like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? Jump the gate? And so she's about to jump the gate, but she's like, wait a second. She takes off her bracelets. So at least she's wearing bracelets like Wonder Woman does, right?
Yeah.
They're just the gold bracelets. They're not powered or anything. She tosses one at the gate and finds out that the gate's electrified. And again, this movie is just saying, hey, these people are so smart that they figure stuff out. But why would anybody take that precaution? You know what I'm saying? She just has intuition.
What if this gate that I just walked through is electrified now that they closed it?
So I think she turns off the electricity, or she like hacks it and she leaves.
pointless scene, really.
So the entire first half of this movie is pointless, by the way. It's just all filler. By the end of the first half, the status quo has not changed at all. She goes back to her hotel. She gets attacked there by George and the two henchmen. And she just beats them up, right? Very easily beats them up. It was kind of like karate, like karate chop to the neck, one falls down. Karate chop to someone else, they fall down. And that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of don't remember what else she does at the hotel. It's really not important. The only other scene I remember is that she gets attacked a third time because she goes back to her hotel room and there's a snake in a box. Yeah. Right? And the snake is like about to get her. So she
calls
just goes outside.
Room service.
Oh, yeah. She calls room service, gives the room service guy very specific instructions. I don't remember what they are.
She has to like bring like a bowl of milk or something.
A bowl of milk and like a bucket or something. And if you're here within the next minute, you get a $50 tip. Which I guess in the 70s, that's probably like $200.
You bet your ass he ran up there.
Oh, yeah. Dude runs up, goes and let yourself inside. Goes inside, sees the snake, freaks out, but she's like so cool and calm, has been trained for this. She sets out the milk. The snake is like drinking the milk and she like traps it or whatever. Do snakes drink milk?
I don't know enough about snakes to answer this question.
They're not mammals. The whole time I'm like, is this a good plan? Is this how you trap a snake? Should I know this for like, if I ever get a snake encounter, like get milk?
It's another just weird scene where it's like, did this need to
need to happen? Yeah. So there's another scene where she's about to get attacked or whatever. Like she knows there's an assassin in her room or something.
Yeah.
Right? So she goes and knocks on some other person's room. And this is great because again, everybody's trying to fuck her. The guy opens up and just sees this kind of pretty woman or whatever and gets so excited. His eyes just open up and is like, oh, like,
I'm getting laid tonight.
Yeah. And I don't remember what he asked her, but he's like, oh, like, are you here? Do you want to come in or whatever?
Yeah. And she's like, oh, no, my husband is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And he's visually just like super let down.
He's like, oh, your husband.
Yeah.
And she's like, can you just like call my room?
He honestly thought that like just sees a woman out in the world and goes, I'm getting laid. Like, that's all it takes. You see a woman, you're gonna fuck that woman. Like, what is that? You know?
70s?
If that's what the 70s was like, holy shit. Anyway, so again, the entire hotel sequence, which takes up like half the movie, pretty much doesn't do anything. It's just them trying to kill her and they can't do it, right? It's almost
they fail in like an embarrassing way, too.
Exactly. It feels a lot like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, where it's just skit after skit of them trying to or of him trying to get the Roadrunner and he can't.
And he just can't because he sucks.
To like hilarious results. So eventually she just goes back to America, right? Yeah. And the original proposition with the list is that there was a ransom, right?
Yeah.
It was, I don't know how many millions of dollars or whatever.
Something $1 million, generic $1 million ransom.
And they're like, all right, new plan. Let's just give them the money or whatever. So between she and Steve Trevor and some other people, they devise a new plan, right? They get a delivery from the bad guy, and it's a huge crate. Opens it up. What comes out?
A donkey. A donkey just comes out of the box. And it was funny because right before Steve opened the box, like, all these people were in here and they're like, watch out, Steve. That box could be dangerous. There could be enemies in it. And then they all just leave him alone with the box.
Yeah, he tells everyone to leave, right?
I don't even think he tells them to leave. I think they just leave.
Yeah, so he opens the box, a donkey walks out, and there's instructions. It's basically like, hey, you're going to strap all of the money to this donkey and then let him loose in this place.
And then you like smack him on the butt and say something in Spanish.
And the donkey will go. And so it's a donkey that the bad guy has trained to go to a specific place. I think it's supposed to be like, hey, like, this is cool spy stuff, but that's a really dumb plan.
Because it seems too convoluted.
Yeah, because I think the thinking is, well, if I send one of my guys, they're just going to get arrested. Like, if we have, like, a trade-offs location, then we're going to get ambushed. But if I send this trained donkey, then I'm going to get
time to train it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to get my money, and it's not going to be a problem, right? Like, they're not going to follow the donkey. So they do this, right? But their plan is that they're going to, don't they put like trackers into the hooves of the donkey or something?
Yeah, something along those lines.
They give it like shoes, you know, like horseshoes or whatever, that they can track from like a satellite. Which I'm like, that's real technology, GPS.
Yeah.
However, that probably didn't exist at the time.
At least not to that extent.
Yeah. And to its credit, that's good spy stuff when the technology in a spy movie is whatever is cutting edge today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in a James Bond movie, I forget which one, there was like, I think it was GoldenEye. He has like a bomb in a pen, in like a ballpoint pen, and he clicks it 3 times and it activates. Now, there's no bomb big enough for a ballpoint pen. However, you could conceivably think like, oh, maybe one day there will be, you know? That's good tech for a spy movie. But again, 1974, GPS, like tracking like that, maybe not, but I believe it. So I don't know where this movie is set, but it looks like fucking Arizona. It looks like the desert, right? They're like in the middle of the desert now. Yep. They let the donkey loose, and the plan is, one, track it, but two, Wonder Woman is going to like be there and also kind of track the donkey, and she's going to find the bad guys, and they're going to whatever. So she shows up, and for whatever reason, she's now in her Wonder Woman outfit.
Yeah, which isn't subtle. It's not a good spy outfit.
Not at all. It's completely ludicrous. So if you know Wonder Woman, if you know what she looks like, imagine the exact opposite. She's not wearing the classic Wonder Woman outfit. She's wearing like a long sleeve jacket dress thing with tights. But the jacket dress item is red. She's got a belt with a big like eagle emblem on it. And then her sleeves are blue
with the stars.
With the white stars. And then her tights are also blue with the white stars. So it's got the same Wonder Woman motif. However, it's not Wonder Woman in the slide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, she's blonde. We didn't mention this. Wonder Woman is played by Cathy Lee Crosby. If you've never heard of her, yeah, no one's ever heard of her. She was a tennis player, and then she did a little bit of acting, and that's pretty much it. But she's blonde, and Wonder Woman is famously, like, black-haired, or at least brunette. So, anyway, she shows up in this outfit, and again, if you're a spy, why?
Why are you going to wear something that makes you stand out?
Yeah, and she's in the middle of the desert. So imagine just like the desert, but then she's in this outfit. We're going to link pictures of the outfit in the show description so you guys can just scroll down, click on it, you can see what we're talking about. So she kind of like follows the donkey or whatever. Their clever plan is that the donkey that they've trained, the bad guys, goes into like this cave, and then several other trained donkeys come out, and they're all decoys, except for one, right? So if they were tracking this one donkey, then they would have to have followed like 8 different donkeys that emerged from the cave. And that could be a wrinkle in their plan or whatever. But they also put the GPS on that one donkey. So they're still going to find the bad guy,
They're still able to track it despite the fact that it blends in with all these other donkeys.
Exactly. So as she's following the donkeys, she runs into George, right?
Yes.
Who, again, instead of just shooting her, has hired another Amazonian who it's like one of like her sisters.
How did they find each other? Does he know about the island? Did she leave the island and seek out George? Like
she was seeking out gems or something, like jewelry, like diamonds and shit.
Like she just wanted to get rich?
Yeah, that's what he was paying her off. Also,
stupid motivation.
This actress looks so much more like Wonder Woman than Cathy Lee Crosby. I was like, why didn't you hire this one?
She was hot.
Yeah, she actually looked like Wonder Woman, and
they should have reversed the rules, to be totally honest.
Absolutely. So they have a javelin fight, which is weird, but also like I guess the most on-brand Wonder Woman thing to have happened up to this point, right?
Right, but it wasn't like a good fight. It felt like
no, absolutely not.
You know those like giant Q-tips that people fight with? It kind of felt like that.
Yeah, like
do you know what I'm talking about?
American Ninja Warrior. No,
American Gladiator.
American Gladiator. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It felt like that, but slower.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, they use all the money on that one good stunt, so everything goes downhill from here. So they have this javelin fight, but again, not before they exchange some words like, you know, the last time we met each other, I beat you, and blah, blah, blah. It's not good.
Yeah.
What happens after this?
They escape, and she just, like, tracks them there.
Okay.
Because she's, like, tracking him. She finds his gum wrapper just on the floor.
Yes. The fucking gum wrapper. Oh, because he chews the gum whenever he wants to murder somebody. That's his
thing.
That's his weird fetish, right? So he pops in a piece of gum during the javelin fight because I guess he thinks they're going to kill Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So he's chewing the gum, drops the wrapper on the floor, but Wonder Woman beats her old friend and then throws a javelin at like the gun or something like that. And so she bests George also. Yes. And George like runs away or whatever, and she tracks him. When George goes back to see Ricardo Montalban, he's like, do you not know that you're being followed? And she's like, oh no, like she's here. And he's like, yeah, she's here. And so
you idiot.
Yeah, fuck. So they like just let her in, whatever. And that's when she meets the bad guy, Ricardo Montalban, Mr. Smith or whatever. And they're just being overly pleasant with each other, right?
They really are. Like, they're talking like they're old friends almost.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're so smart, and would you like some wine, and blah, 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 and if you care to join me, and yada, yada.
Were they trying to just make him like a charming bad guy?
Yeah, but it almost felt like they were, like you said, like, it didn't feel like there was any conflict.
No.
So they talk for a while. I don't even remember what they were talking about, but they talk for a while. Then he shows her his helicopter for whatever reason, which seemed dumb to do. Because she puts one of her bracelets on it.
Yeah.
And I guess her bracelet is also a bomb?
Yeah, she blows it up.
Because she blows up the helicopter.
While they're in the room talking.
While they're talking, being pleasant with each other. And again, you'd think at that point he would be like, okay, fuck you, and shoot her. He's still super pleasant with her, right?
Yeah.
As the helicopter is exploding, she tries to steal both the money and the books, which I thought was pretty ambitious of her. So she's trying to run away, but then there's random plexiglass.
Yeah.
She's stuck in a plexiglass room.
Yeah, that's the trap. Like, the plexiglass drops from the ceiling of the cave.
Yeah, which is, and we skipped it because it's not important, the second time this happens to her, because she gets trapped in another room earlier, and some weird multicolored sand comes, and
And it was also a plexiglass.
Yeah, and I don't know if she was going to drown or whatever, but she breaks it somehow. Anyway, it was just a commercial cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But she gets away somehow. I think she swam out, and then George is chasing her, and George falls into the water, and he's all I can't swim.
And then he just drowns.
So he just drowns because Ricardo Montalban doesn't help him. Right?
He's like, fuck you tried to kill me.
Yeah, so now they're in a chase. I think Wonder Woman is trying to chase down Ricardo Montalban, and
she catches up to him.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it.
And then they catch him, and then he just shrugs. He's like, oh, you got me. And then they arrest him. He says to Wonder Woman, I love you.
Yeah. Oh, I have here. She got onto a motorcycle and he was rolling down the river. So not a fair fight, I guess, or whatever. So yeah, gets caught. And he's still very pleasant, even when he's caught and going to jail. It's not a big deal to him. I get the impression maybe that he was going to be a recurring character.
That's what it kind of seems
because, again, he just he's taken away to jail. He's not killed or anything. He is such a good actor. He was by far the highlight of this movie.
He was probably the only good actor in the movie.
Yes, yeah. And the first half was pretty boring. It was kind of funny in parts, but when he shows up, it felt like a completely different movie.
It got interesting.
I really, honestly like all of his scenes. So the last scene, she just goes back to the office, and she's just the secretary again, and that's it, right?
And then it ends. Yeah.
But they're still talking in code, and I'm like, why are you the secretary,
he was like, how was your trip to the dentist?
But also, they've seen each other since she went to Paris. Yeah. And also, Paris didn't change the status quo at all. They're back on square one when they go back to the office. Nonsense. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the movie.
It was kind of pointless.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Going into, okay, so what did you think? Overall, if you want to get into it.
It wasn't the worst thing I've ever watched, but it's also one of those things that's I feel like I didn't need to watch it. I wasn't missing out on anything by not watching it.
No, my life is exactly the same.
Yes.
It's not something I
This
think
isn't
about.
a movie that needed to exist, and it's not a surprise that it didn't get picked up for a TV show.
Yeah. So, okay, here's the thing. This is not good. Decisively, it's not good.
No.
However, it's also not that bad. You know what I mean? It's got this 70s charm to it. It's like watching the Brady Bunch, and there was a couple scenes that made me feel like I was watching the Brady Bunch. The way it was edited, the way they framed an action sequence. I felt like when the Brady Bunch went to Hawaii, for example. I don't know if you do you remember that one, the little charm bracelet or whatever.
Wasn't that the Brady Bunch movie or something like that?
It was a TV movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was expecting a ton of nonsense and a ton of plot holes. And there was some nonsense.
And there was some plot holes.
But I didn't think there were that many plot holes,
there
honestly.
really wasn't that much of a plot.
The plot kind of went in circles. It felt like a lot of filler. It didn't change the status quo at all. I wouldn't say there was any plot holes.
No, plot holes might be the wrong word.
And at times, it almost felt smart. Like a smart,
it almost
spy
felt
movie.
Smart.
Yeah. So, to its credit, it's not the worst thing ever. Honestly, and I think we should make a ranking. I thought about this, rank the movies as we go along or whatever.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not. But I don't think this is worse than Ghost Rider 2.
No, Ghost Rider 2 is still the worst movie we watched so far.
I had fun with this. And I thought, again, at parts it was interesting. At parts the dialogue was pretty good. At parts it's also horrible. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But there is something there. You know what I mean? I completely understand why it wouldn't be picked up for a series. But also, I kind of wouldn't mind watching a couple episodes of it to see if it gets any better. If it had been done or whatever,
I think it could have been better if it wasn't a Wonder Woman show.
Yeah. So I'm over here thinking, why do a spy movie? And I don't have an answer because there's not a lot out there. I mean, I did a fair amount of research. There's not a lot on the internet about this movie because it's the 70s. It's not like today where there's information galore.
Right.
If something gets made, everybody knows, you know who's getting hired. You know when the writers get hired.
Like the second it happens.
Exactly. You know the stars. You know all the production troubles. We know extensive production information about a lot of movies that we watch, right? But in the 70s, especially for a TV movie, like, it's just not that well documented, especially if there was not that many, like, interviews and stuff like that.
No, and it's like, do we even know if this pilot aired?
It did air.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is an aired pilot.
But it was one of those things where, like, if you missed it, you didn't know it existed.
Yeah. So I did read some reviews online where people said they actually saw this on TV as, like, a kid. And they might have honestly played it a couple more times. It might have been, reran a couple times just for fun, just for like fill of an afternoon or whatever. But I think what happened is this came out in 1974, right? So we're right at the height of James Bond. That's happening.
Yeah.
In the mid 70s, we're in the Roger Moore era at this point, but the James Bond train is going strong. And this came out on CBS, I believe. And ABC had just finished their run of Mission Impossible, right? So I think we're at peak super spy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with Mission Impossible ending, I think CBS is saying, hey, we can pick up that viewership. We can pick up those people that aren't seeing this anymore if we come out with our own spy show. But I think they also said, well, let's kind of cut the corners and find what's easy. Do we have to attach a name to this? You know what I'm saying? And they go like, all right, Wonder Woman. For whatever reason, that's where they came
That'll
down to.
sell.
They could have done, I don't know, anything. They could have done anything else.
They could have done anything.
But they picked Wonder Woman as a name and as like a license and said, let's combine these two ideas. Also, like Batman, the TV show, had run a few years prior also. That had finished, well, let's see, if the movie came out in 66, 69, it did like 3 seasons. It would have been like a few years before this that Batman would have been ending. So maybe they're like, all right, we need another superhero property out there. And we need a spy show to kind of pick up where Mission Impossible left off.
So let's try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Exactly. That's how executives think. You know what I mean? They always learn the wrong lessons. They don't know what audience actually want, right?
It's incredible that they have the job of executive at that point.
Yeah, exactly. But when you do that, there's a lot of aspects that don't make sense anymore. Like, why is she called Wonder Woman? Why does she have a nickname?
Yeah.
Why does she have a costume? And these are questions they don't answer. And I think it's one of those things where they're like, okay, we'll answer it in another episode. It's too hard. Let's not worry about it. Let's procrastinate. We'll do it later. Like, why not? I do this all the time. So I would expect fucking a TV show to do it too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
No. I think I've pretty much said all that I have to say about it.
Actually, you know what? We spent a lot of time on like Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2 talking about the themes because there's so many themes and it's very theme heavy and they do such a great job of using the themes to propel the story, but also the story is adding to the theme. Anyway, this doesn't have any themes at all.
No.
Right? And it's strange because Wonder Woman as a character is a feminist icon, right? You can take a picture of Wonder Woman and show it to literally anybody on Earth, and they'll tell you, that's Wonder Woman, feminist icon, right? Show it to your grandmother who maybe has never seen a DC movie, any TV show, any Marvel, nothing.
She'll still recognize the imagery.
Yes, which is Wonder Woman, right? This representation of a strong female icon. And you would think at the very least, if that's what Wonder Woman is most known for, they would take that direction. They would use that in any way, and they don't at all.
They, like, sort of maybe hint at it. That's it.
I feel like they just did step 1, and they're like, okay,
she's
every
strong.
other step we'll do it later in a different episode, because there's a lot of misogyny in this, and it feels intentional. But maybe it's also a product of the 70s, because I don't know. I wasn't alive then. But she gets hit on maybe 4 times in this. Again, one time, a guy was just like, you must fuck me. Like, that's pretty much what he says.
And she's just like, nah.
Yeah. And she kind of combats all that with just kind of a smile and like, I don't know, like very politeness.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that was step 1 of combating sexism. Okay, you know what? Here's 2 dudes talking about feminism for a minute. Like, we're not maybe the experts
Take
on
it
this.
with a grain of salt.
Yeah. We should have invited a woman. But actually, you know, I did invite a woman. She said, I don't want to watch that movie. So, there you go. Okay, so I feel like step 1 might be polite and kind of kill him with kindness. And then step 2 might be beat him at their own game. And then step 3 might be prove them that they're wrong. I thought that's what she was going to do. But she kind of stops at step 1. She's just kind of polite.
She's just polite and brushes it off, which doesn't stop it from happening.
No. If anything, it might encourage them to try harder.
Because you're being nice.
And at the very least, that one guy at the beginning, he was very nice, very polite. And honestly, like, maybe is not a good example of one of the sexist characters.
He might have just been wanting to ask her out.
Yeah, he was asking her out, very polite, but he's also kind of like, you get the impression that he's been turned down several times by her already, and this is like his 5th attempt. You know, he's just kind of wearing her down.
Tenacious.
Yeah, he's kind of like, like a gentleman, wear her down until she finally, like, says yes. You know?
Which isn't really the route you should go either.
No, don't do that. But, I mean, at the very least, he's at least being polite, I guess. But she's just not, I don't know, like, she's not really doing anything about it. And then I thought, okay, is this movie supposed to be Wonder Woman versus, like, sexism? Which is what a lot of times, like, Wonder Woman is doing. She's battling her own tropes for being, like, a female kind of, like, hero or whatever.
But this movie didn't do that either.
Well, no, you know why? Because the main villain is not sexist at all. He might be a feminist too. In fact, when she finds them, when George comes to the house, like we said, he's like, no, like, she's following you. She outsmarted you. You're an idiot. And, like, she's better than you in every way, basically. And he treats her like a formidable foe. He's very feminist.
Yeah.
And so, like, so what's she fucking fighting, though?
He seems super, like, respectful to her.
Exactly. So, like, what is she fighting here? You know, I thought, okay, because George is such a fucking creep, but, like, she beats him in no time or whatever. He's not, like, a main villain here. I thought the main villain should at least maybe be meaner. He seems very nice.
He's probably the nicest person in the movie.
Yeah. So, what are you saying here? Like, what's the conflict with, like, the theme here? There is none.
There was no theme. It was literally just, all right, spy, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So
that's it. That's it.
Exactly. So, overall, I don't know. Do you want to talk about Wonder Woman a little bit now that we're here?
Yeah, I know when I came in, you were doing some research on her.
So, the reason we're doing this is because the next Wonder Woman movie, Wonder Woman 1984, is finally getting a release on Christmas. That's a month from now, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we were like, oh, let's push up Wonder Woman and do her now. So Wonder Woman's written by Dr. William Moulton Marston, who's a psychologist in 1940, blah, 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 I think it's 1941? 1942. So she is one of the... Oh, wait, no, 1941. So she is one of the OG, like, DC heroes, right? She's always been one of the founding members of the Justice League. She's considered like the DC Trinity is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Yeah, that's the Trinity, right? So she's a big, big, big deal. 1942, during World War II, and that kind of explains what she's wearing, right? She's got a very patriotic outfit.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's because of the time that she was created. They used it as like almost like propaganda, similar to Captain America.
Yeah, it's very much like us versus, the Axis. So in her story, she was fighting the Axis powers a lot. So she wears kind of this, I don't know what you would call that. I don't know much about women's clothing, but it's like a...
Like a leotard?
Yeah, where the top is red and the bottom parts, which is like her... Sometimes it's a skirt, and sometimes it's just kind of like a bathing suit type deal. Is blue with white stars, so it's very American flag motif.
Which doesn't.
There's usually
really
eagles.
Make sense with her character.
It makes sense at the time when she didn't have like this backstory or whatever. But yeah, nowadays it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's been retconned several times to like
as comics usually are,
right? In order to explain why she would have like this American flag motif as a costume or whatever. That's kind of always been on my mind. Like, why does she look like that or whatever? But I mean, nowadays, if you've seen like the new movies, she is given kind of this gladiator outfit, which makes a lot more sense, given that like on Themyscira, it's kind of like ancient Rome, ancient Greece kind of culture or whatever.
Yeah, like the gold-plated skirt and stuff.
Yeah, and it just happens to be blue and red for different reasons. So she has two origins, and I wonder if this is going to come up next week when we do the next Wonder Woman. But originally, she was sculpted from clay by her mother and then given powers by the Greek gods. And then at one point, probably like post-crisis, is retconned into being the daughter of Zeus. And then most recently, they've tried to combine those two origins in different ways. So in the latest retcon, which was DC, what they call it?
New 52?
No, the newer one. Rebirth.
Oh,
yeah. In Rebirth, she doesn't know which, there's like conflicting stories, and she doesn't know which is true, and they make it so that both are true or something like that. In the movie, I thought they did a really good job, where she's told she was sculpted from clay, but it was a lie. It was like a fairy tale. Yeah. And really, she is like this illegitimate daughter of Zeus. Which I thought was pretty clever.
Zeus had a lot of illegitimate children.
Yeah.
All these gods did.
Yeah, if you study any mythology, like, all the Greek heroes are illegitimate children of Zeus.
Zeus is just a dick.
Oh, yeah. He's a rapist.
He's a rapist that gets around.
So sometimes she can fly, sometimes she can't. Depends on the story, depends on like the retcon of the time period or whatever.
Sometimes she has an invisible jet that allows her to fly.
Yeah, sometimes she has an invisible plane, which I always thought was super weird too, because she comes from like this like advanced yet primitive society or whatever, but they can have an invisible plane.
Which is pointless because you still see the person in it.
I was telling you earlier, I remember from my childhood, the Wonder Woman cartoons, where she, like, the plane is like outlined in white, so you can kind of see it, but it's invisible. But you still see her sitting in it, like flying around.
So you just, instead of seeing a plane, you see a woman sitting in an invisible chair floating.
Yeah, there was a fun Easter egg for the invisible plane, right?
In this movie, yeah, there is a scene where she arrives in New York City. They ask her how she beat them there because they took a plane.
Yeah,
and she mentions that she has a plane that flies faster than yours. And then he says, well, I didn't see any plane. She's like, well, that's because it's invisible.
Yeah.
And she's kind of saying it like, it almost sounds like she's saying it tongue-in-cheek, like she's just messing with them.
Yeah, she's just fucking with them. So it's supposed to be like this fun little Easter egg or whatever. But at the same time, for me, that kind of outlines the problem with this is that you didn't have the balls to do Wonder Woman, right? So why even reference it at all? You could have just done it.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's the 70s. Why not? I don't know. So she has bracelets of submission is what they're called. I didn't know this until today. I had to look this up. The bracelets she wears. You know that she can ping, ping, ping with like bullets or whatever?
Yeah.
The reason she can do that is because they have superpowers. The bracelets themselves have like Zeus's powers in them. And that's why they can absorb energy. They can repel almost anything. And if she knocks them together, she can like send like a concussive wave that's strong enough to like affect Superman. So Wikipedia says or whatever. So I thought that was super cool. I mean, maybe in this next movie, like, she explains it a little bit more.
Yeah, because in this movie, she just used them as, like, a gadget.
Yeah, one's a bomb, and another time she just throws it at a fence, which I'm like, hopefully that wasn't the bomb one you just threw against the fence, right? Usually she's wearing a tiara, also, not in this. And then the lasso of truth, which is, like, her most iconic weapon. It's this rope that glows and forces people to speak the truth when you rope somebody with it.
Which is another kind of weird thing for like a warrior to have.
Sure, but it's also, I don't know, it's pretty fun. That might be her coolest one.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a lot probably later about like the Snyder Cut and whatever, but I think the only part of the Joss Whedon stuff in Justice League that I liked is there's a scene where it's a close-up on Aquaman. He starts talking and then he like kind of like spills his guts, like his insecurities or whatever. And then you find out, it zooms out, and that Wonder Woman had the lasso of truth like wrapped around him. That was all right. But also,
I don't even remember that because I have not seen that movie since it came out.
Yeah, I mean, also, I'm not going to miss it when it's gone. That one scene, which was just like the one kind of like, okay, of that whole movie. But anyway. Yeah, and then her patriotic outfit, which we talked about. So, real quick, for Keep or Cancel, 2 people to talk about, I think. Cathy Lee Crosby, the lead. I think she was bad, and I didn't like her at all. I don't know what you think.
Not a good actor.
No. And I can't tell if she was written this way or she's just not a good actor, but she was kind of like...
flat?
Yes, but also kind of condescending, right? Because every time she spoke, it was very much like... And again, she's like,
I'm better than you.
Yeah, and she's being hit a lot with, like, sexist characters, and she has to fight that off, and I get that. But the way she kind of, like, talks to everybody is just kind of like, I saw that coming before you ever even thought of it, you know? And I don't know if it's her acting, or they're just trying to, again, write off and say, hey, these are super spies, and they're so smart that they can outthink you before you even outthink yourself. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I didn't like her at all. She's blonde, and that's not her fault. That's just a miscast. Wonder Woman should have, like, black to dark hair. I don't know, I thought she had weird teeth. Her teeth were kind of like brown.
Attacking her now?
Yeah. I don't know. I would have never said, hey, this person, you're Wonder Woman. Again, there was a better Wonder Woman already in this movie. Like, the other girl looked more like the classic Wonder Woman.
But she wasn't in the movie enough for us to even know if she was a good actor for it, though.
You know what? To be fair, you're absolutely right. So she didn't really do much else. So inconsequential, cancel her. I think she's alive still.
I mean, she could totally be a wonderful person, but like...
Yeah, and then the other main person in this movie is Ricardo Montalban. Do you know much about him?
The only thing I really know about him is like, this might be more of a my generation thing because I'm a bit younger than you, but I just remember him as the grandfather from Spy Kids 2 and Spy Kids 3.
Yeah. Well, I saw Spy Kids 1 and 2. I didn't particularly like them, but, you know, I saw it. And I don't know that much about him. I know he's Khan from Star Trek.
Yes, he is also Khan from Star Trek.
But,
the original Khan, not Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right. From Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. So he was kind of the prototypical TV star, right? And it's hard for me. Again, I wasn't alive then, so I don't really know what his stardom was like. I can't say if he was like a Will Smith kind of person or whatever. But like many foreign actors, he was incredibly famous in his country. He's from Mexico, right? So he was in a ton of Mexican films. And because of how the movie industry works, these other countries don't have as big a industry as we do, right? In Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. They don't have a Hollywood.
Exactly. Except for India, because Bollywood makes more movies than we do.
Right.
And their industry is humongous. But
just
most
not a
other
fan
countries,
of Bollywood movies.
yeah. So most other countries, like if you're a good actor in a different country, you're probably going to try to come to America and try to be in our movies as like, you know, a character from those countries or whatever that you fit in with your ethnicity.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of this very handsome, debonair, you know, kind of like Mexican gentleman, right? And those are the roles that they kind of give him because of his accent, the way he looks, and how kind of like
he's very suave.
Very suave, yeah. So he was in Fantasy Island, which helped him kind of get famous here in the States.
He was in some of the Planet of the Apes movies, too.
Yeah, so in and out of Planet of the Apes. So it's hard for me to tell what made him famous and not, because he played Khan in a single episode in 1967, so way before this in Star Trek.
And then came back for the movie.
The movie was like 15 years later that they take this character and make a bigger role out of him, right? Because if you're not a Trekkie or whatever...
Well, it became an iconic character.
Oh, yeah. Probably one of the best villains in Star Trek lore. And I'm not a Trekkie or whatever. The show ran for multiple seasons. They made a sequel show, Next Generation. While they're doing that, they're making movies with the original cast, right?
It's kind of weird how they did that.
Yeah, and so by this point, they're kind of picking at their best stories from the show and then making full, like, movies out of it.
And from what I understand, like, most of the movies people didn't really like, but Wrath of Khan was one of the ones that people loved.
Yeah, so apparently every other Star Trek movie is good, is from what I've heard. But anyway, he does Planet of the Apes. I think that helped him kind of get really famous in America. And Fantasy Island. What I thought was funny about Fantasy Island, if this sounds familiar, he's like this eccentric billionaire, lives on an island, and he invites people to come and experience their ultimate fantasies, and he'll like make it happen for you for a price. And he wears his white suit.
So he's like the devil?
And he's sort of, but he's kind of like, right, his morality is kind of in question or whatever, and he wears his white suit, and he's very debonair and suave or whatever, and I'm like, oh, so his character from this fucking movie we just watched.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of me is like, did they just think, because Fantasy Island happened after this TV pilot would have come out and failed, I'm like, did they take this idea of like this character and was like, hey, we can run with this, and think of this other successful TV show?
Like, well, this is the only good thing about our movie, so let's turn it into something.
Yeah. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened. But
or if somebody saw this and was like, you know what, I like this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the white suit. But also, I mean, who knows if with the budget, they're like, hey, just come wearing your favorite suit. And that's just what he owns or whatever. He just likes wearing white.
I could see that.
By the way, there was a horror movie, Blumhouse Fantasy Island, came out this year.
Based on this?
Based on Fantasy Island, yeah.
Oh.
Starring the girl from Pretty Little Liars.
And Michael Pena.
And Michael Pena plays him, yeah. Again, I don't have a lot of experience watching Ricardo Montalban, but I really liked him in this movie. I've never seen Star Trek 2, but I want more of him after seeing this, honestly. Like, I watched an episode of Fantasy Island. I don't know why. I was just interested. I put it on YouTube before you got here. And you liked it? Yeah, it was fine. But I liked him in it. Like, right. Well, I mean, he passed.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Like, 9 years ago. But I'd be down for more of him, honestly. So, anyway. Keep him. Cancel Wonder Woman, the actress. Cathy Lee Crosby.
I'm pretty much agreement with that.
Okay, that's fair. So, you have any last thoughts on this?
It's a movie that didn't really need to exist. Pretty much, that's my take on it, like, just as a whole.
But you had some fun with it.
No, it wasn't, like, the worst thing I've ever seen. Like we said, Ghost Rider 2 is way worse.
Yeah, that's the worst.
This had some fun, campy moments and stuff like that. Like you said, it has its charms, but at the end of the day, does it need to exist? I think not really.
Okay, so you're putting it in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Like I said, I think it was fun. I mean, okay, I'm going to be honest. I didn't hate this movie. Didn't love it. I might not even say that I liked it, but I had fun watching it. I think if it was a minute longer, I wouldn't have liked it. I'd
If
say
it was a minute,
like a minute long.
Wow, that really says a lot about the quality of the movie.
It's 75 minutes, and it's just long enough to be enjoyable because it's not a huge commitment. It's an hour and 15 minutes long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for that, I'm going to say it's still going in the Phantom Zone, but give it a shot. Like, again, if you like old things, if you like Brady Bunch, if you like shit from the 60s and 70s, if you like old TV, and you like watching a bad thing every now and then, I recommend it. Especially, like, if you're into comic books and superheroes. Because, like, I think all this stuff deserves watching every now and then. You know what I mean?
It's interesting to have experienced it.
Yeah, it's part of, like, the whole zeitgeist of, like, the superhero world. You know? Like, this bad Wonder Woman TV movie that then spawned a better one, I think. Because next week we're doing the other one. So
the one that actually caused the show to happen.
Exactly. Okay, so next week, what movie are we doing?
The Wonder Woman movie from 1975.
Yeah, so they just did it again. When this didn't work, they're like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it better.
Was it the same network?
Yeah, but back then things worked differently. Yeah, like the show, again, so like the network would pick up things that are made by independent studios.
Because the first season on ABC and then CBS
they'd cross over, yeah. And that happens today, too, where
a show will change
a network will drop a show and then another network picks it up.
Yeah.
Because the people making it don't belong to that network.
It doesn't happen as often.
Yeah, they just said, fuck it, let's try it again. And that's the Lynda Carter one. That's the one they said, all right, let's actually do Wonder Woman right.
And that's the one that people like kind of actually know about too.
Yeah.
Like, people have seen this. People have seen the show.
Oh no, if you talk about Wonder Woman, people are like, oh, like Lynda Carter.
Yeah.
Like they know her like
the
they know
older
Adam.
folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know her like they know Adam West and Christopher Reeve.
She was Wonder Woman for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. That's available on Amazon to rent, the pilot episode. It was also called The New Original Wonder Woman to differentiate itself from this, which I thought was a little redundant. New Original Wonder Woman, but sure. But if you look it up, you have to look up Wonder Woman as a TV series, and then the first episode would be the pilot movie.
Okay.
All right. I'm excited for that. So thank you for listening. Thanks to that piano dude for our musical intro. Make sure you leave a rating and review. Tell a friend.
Tell all of your friends.
Tell every single person you ever met in your life.
Even if they hate superheroes.
Go outside and just run into people and tell them, listen to Films from the Phantom Zone. I implore you. You can find us on Instagram at Films from the Phantom Zone with underscores, and you can find us on Twitter at Films from PZ. You can argue with us there. You can argue with us on Instagram, but it's just not as effective, so definitely argue with us on Twitter. Do you have anything else?
Nah.
Okay, cool. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.